right, Terp fans, let's face reality here. 7:44, Maryland's so-called Crab Five go down to #1 Florida Gator squad in Sweet 16. It was a great run. It appears the Terps have a new leader in freshman Derek Queen. Hands down. Joining us now to discuss the future of the Terps, sports agent and founder of DLE Agency and Achilles PR, Doug Eldridge. Doug, always great to hang out with you, buddy.
Roger, it's great to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you. But now today we're talking about this, and it really started before last night's game. And a lot of people were saying, okay, it was a tough, respectable loss for the Crab Five to the #1 ranked Florida. But really, the attention quickly shifted to Coach Kevin Willard and his possible move to Villanova.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare, especially for a team that's on the rebuild and certainly on the ascendance. I mean, this is the best team we've seen arguably in the last 10 years. You have a centerpiece with that 6'10" stud center freshman who just set the record for points by a freshman in Maryland history. The building blocks are there. The last thing you want is cracks in the foundation.
Yeah, you've got about 6 or 7 seniors and fifth years probably leaving this squad here. But if Willard does make a change and go to Villanova, we've got the associate Cox, who's right behind him, though, being moved up. The argument, though, that Willard was saying in the news conference about the NIL, paying ratio, will that tarnish his future, not only with Maryland, but also if he goes to another place like a Villanova?
Well, you know, in the last 20 years, the biggest concern would be that your stud freshman would leave after their first year, right? Now the biggest concern is arguably the NIL. That's what's creating the portal and the player transfers that we didn't see in the past. And so there's never security in terms of the same roster turning over the next season, because that NIL marketplace, which again is name, image, and likeness, it's marketing opportunities for collegiate athletes off the field or off the court. They don't get paid to play, but they do get marketing dollars like a professional athlete. That's become incredibly competitive. So there is a real concern. Now, obviously, the peak of the pyramid, right? The core of your stability is always your head coach. That's your lead recruiter. That's the reason players come. That and the legacy of the program and the national TV exposure, et cetera. So if he were to jump ship, and it seems better than 50-50, who knows till the ink is dry, that's going to destabilize the whole program. But like we always say, next man up.
Okay, so let's talk about the NIL, though. He was talking about it, you know, the comparison, I think it was like 20% coming to football versus 5% going to Terps basketball. If he goes to Villanova, it seems like that's a school there, it's like all basketball. I mean, Villanova is known for that. Yeah,
for sure. And look, the two lead revenue generators in collegiate sports are football and basketball, right? Well, obviously football holds a lot more people, play fewer games, but it's an imbalanced ratio right now for Maryland. That's something that universities across the country are constantly having to rebalance the ratio in the equation to make sure that they're allocating enough dollars, resources, interest, and eyeballs to their respective sports. They're going to have to level up. You made a great point, though. Villanova is never going to have that problem because it's most assuredly basketball first and arguably basketball only school. The Terps, to remain competitive, now that they're in the Big Ten, now they're on the ascendance, they're on the come up again, they've got to rejigger that formula if they're going to have a hope moving forward, because the NIL is the thumb on the scale in terms of attracting and, most importantly, retaining college athletes.
Last question for you then, Doug. If you were representing Willard as a sports agent, even as PR, where would you recommend him go or do? Would you be able to say, bring back, keep fighting this NIL and get more ratio for your team, for your basketball players?
Well, look, they finished the season with 27 wins. That was the best record in 10 years. You know, they were back in the Sweet 16. You have momentum on your side. You also have leverage, right? You can go to the board. You can go to the key boosters. You can go to the key businesses in the Baltimore area, of which there are many Fortune 500 companies based right there in Baltimore, and say, hey, listen, I got my 10 cup in my hat. I need you to support this program. If I'm going to stay, if we're going to attract top talent, if we're going to keep putting butts in the buckets, as they say, in terms of our fans, I need your support. He has the leverage, but Villanova is a heavy call. That's a difficult decision to make. You got to weigh the pros and cons. Long-term stability and opportunity is really the key.
All right, we're out of time. We didn't even bring up Damon Evans going to SMU, but that's for another day, you know.
That's a whole other combo, Rogers.
It is. Thank you, Doug. We appreciate Doug Eldridge with Achilles PR and his DLE agency.